Psalms 118, 1 through 3, and then verse 6. I love you, O Lord, my strength. The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer, my God, my rock, in whom I take refuge, my shield and my horn and my salvation and my stronghold. I call upon the Lord, who is worthy to be praised, and I am saved from my enemies. Verse 6, in my distress, I called upon the Lord. To my God, I cried for help. From his temple, he heard my voice, and my cry to him reached his ears. Psalms 23, 1 through 3. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. You are my rod and my staff that comfort me. Philippians 4:13, of course, is I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. My childhood, I didn't have a bad childhood. I was baptized right there in that tub at 11 years old. I tried to be here at the church every Wednesday and every Sunday. But of course, getting into middle school, meeting new friends and all, I started heading the wrong direction. Middle school was a wild ride. Spent more time in ISS and suspended than I did in classes. But I was a hypocrite. That's all there is to it. First time I got in trouble with law, I was 13. Both of my parents drank when I was younger, so not saying that alcoholism was hereditary, but I had a lot bigger chance to become an alcoholic. So of course, through the years, if I seen a beer sitting there, I'd pick it up and drink it. But that night at 13, it was last day 8th grade, and we tied one on. It was the first time I ever got in trouble with law. And then from there, it was a continuous thing. Every chance I got to drink, I was drinking. And still coming here on Wednesdays and Sundays, putting on that face, being that hypocrite. The trouble and stuff I was always getting into at school, all that stopped going into the 9th grade. I think it just hit me that, hey, if you want to do anything in school, you better stop and get your grades up and start paying attention. So that way I could wrestle and play football. But of course, I still had other things I was chasing, girls and everything else. I did pretty good. I was always brought up that if I wanted something, I had to work to get it. As soon as I could, I got jobs, worked. So 17, I started dating a girl, and she ends up getting pregnant, and we end up getting married. When I graduated, I was 18 with a 3-month-old son and working a full-time job. We were married for a little over a year. And during that time, I did get back into church. She did keep me straight, kept me from going out and going partying every weekend and getting into trouble. And it was a good time. She was probably my first true love. We started having trouble and separating, got a divorce, and when that happened, it really, I went crazy. I thought, well, it's time to catch up now. I got 4 years of high school to catch up on. So it was every chance I got, I was drinking. Also, after me and her divorce and stuff, I was 19. So I really wasn't too far away from being legal age, but I was hanging out with the older crowd, the older people, and going into nightclubs, bars, and all that, because I was with older people that knew people that could get me in there. 2 months after my 21st birthday, I got my first DUI. Within 200 yards from my house. Hydroplaned and went through a fence. And luckily, by the grace of God, I didn't hurt myself, didn't wreck and kill somebody else. That wasn't a big enough wake-up call. Still partied, still did all that stuff. At this time, I was 21, so from 21, the next 5 or 6 years, it was just a big party. I would go get my son some weekends and still be hungover from the night before. 1999, I started dating my second wife, and she, up until that point, I was going to bars every night. Adult clubs was a continuous every night. Some nights I'd leave, get off work, go down there, leave there, and go straight back to work. And I'd started dabbling with cocaine and all that during this time too. When me and her started dating, I kind of settled down for a little bit. We got married in July of 2000. And like I said, I kind of let that double. I'd sneak around here or there and do stuff I didn't need to be doing. My daughter was born May 25th, 2001. And 2002, we separated and got a divorce. That whole marriage was an up and down roller coaster. One weekend might be all right, and then the next thing you know, we're in a all-out brawl argument. So, and for me to get her to understand it was finally done and over with, I had to move in with another woman. But when I moved in with the other woman, the drinking at that time, there again, it was almost like I had to catch up for what I'd slacked off on for 2.5 years. The cocaine use got real bad. We were going through almost an 8 ball every day, day and a half. It was bad. That didn't last too long because it was for the wrong reasons. And during this time too, I had the times at the adult clubs. I'd met my current wife and had actually become good friends with her through all this. I was separated from that lady and was single, doing the same stuff, hanging out with the boys, partying and drinking, just every day, every night. Still held a job. I guess I'd say I was a functioning drunk. But then me and my wife started dating, kind of settled down a little bit, but we were still doing our things, still drinking, partying. I think it was 2003, I got the second DUI in Fulton County. And I was actually in a bar parking lot when I got it. Then after the second one, I started dating Colleen, my current wife. Got out, almost 2 years later after I'd gotten the DUI, I finally go to court. And I'm on probation and all that for that. Me and Colleen had been living together, and I got my third DUI. But the third DUI came while I was still on probation in Fulton County. But during that time when me and Colleen first started dating, I was drinking real bad one night, and ended up cutting my hand right here with a knife. It was 79 stitches, 35 on the inside, 34 on the outside. To get the blood to slow down enough for them to even see it, because I had been drinking and my blood was so thin, they had 3 blood pressure cuffs on my arm and couldn't get it to stop. When the doctors first looked at it, he said, "You'll never use your thumb again." Me being an electrician, I thought, well, there's my life, it's done. But through the grace of God, I have all functions of that thumb. But the third DUI caused a lot of turmoil with me and my ex-wife and my daughter. I went almost 3 years and seen my daughter maybe 3 or 4 times because of my drinking and stuff, because of what the third DUI involved. When it happened, I had 13 charges on me. From the third DUI up until August of 2014, it was just a roller coaster. In November of 2011, I got my 4th DUI. Through this time too, the whole relationship with my son had just really deteriorated. There was a relationship there, but it's not what it should be, or what it should have been, because I chose partying and drinking and everything else over building that relationship where it should be. But the 4th DUI I had to serve 45 days in jail on that DUI. I was able to work that to where I could go to court, get out, and not miss my son graduating high school. If I'd have missed that, he probably wouldn't talk to me, and I couldn't let him. As I look back, I see God moving all these pieces on the chessboard. Now I see it because I'm where He wants me. But back then I didn't see it. I didn't care. All I cared about was what Shane wanted. The real turning point was me. My parents always told me, they were constantly telling me, you need to watch your drinking, it's getting bad, I always said, I got it, I got this. Well, March 21st, 2013. My dad passed away. That was on a Thursday. Well, my mom had went in that Sunday to tell him she was leaving to go to church. And she found him laying halfway on the bed, halfway off. That Saturday night, I was going to call him. And just talk to him because we'd got to where we talked at least 2 or 3 times a week. And I didn't call him because I was too drunk. I never really got to tell him bye. So that's when my life and my drinking really got out of control. I went on a 1.5 years straight train down the side of a cliff. There was no hill, it was just a cliff. And it was a 1.5 years before I hit bottom. And during that 1.5 years, all I cared about was staying drunk. The cocaine use and all that, wasn't nowhere near like it was. But I knew if I wanted it, I could go get it. And meth had also got involved at this time too. Even though I was saved and baptized, I turned to the bottle to fill that hole instead of turning to God. October 2013, I'd started working at my current job, and I was working night shift at the airport. Here's another place where God put me where He wants me, and I didn't notice it until after the fact. The guy that owns the company is a very good Christian man, very faith-based. Like I said, doing electrical work. The only reason I'm sitting here and didn't get killed or hurt at work is because of God. I'm sitting here with 4 DUIs in my lifetime. Could have very easily been a lot more. July 31st, August 1st, 2014 was the huge turning point. I got off work, I went to work, and it was Thursday night. And we always work Sunday through Thursday. We're off Fridays. And so I got off work that night and went to the store at 5 o'clock in the morning, 5:30, and bought a 12-pack of beer. By 9 o'clock, I went back got another 12-pack. I'd say by 1:30, 2 o'clock at the latest that Friday, I was going back to the store and getting another 12-pack. I drank myself sober probably twice that day. And my wife got home, kids were at home. Of course, it all blew up in a big old argument. She left. I got in the truck and left. Went to a friend's house. Driving when I shouldn't even been walking, and got more beer. And all this, I've been up now for over 24 hours drinking. There's no telling, I couldn't tell you what all was said and what all was done and how I didn't get locked up. I made it back home that night and ended up passing out. And the next morning, which was Saturday morning, which would have been August 1st, I got up, still drunk from all the alcohol. Still had beer, and I'm at home now. And running again, I went to a place where I knew I couldn't be bothered. I knew I could be by myself. I went to Sweetwater Creek State Park. I'd done tons of community service over there, knew everybody, knew that if somebody come up, I could say, hey, I'm good, y'all just let me be. But I was sitting there on the picnic table, just wasn't really praying, but I know God heard me. He was listening. Who knows what really ended up happening last night? I'm sitting there. I looked at my truck probably 5 or 6 times to make sure I didn't hit nothing. I was literally expecting to get back home and have in Douglas County or Cobb County or one of them in my driveway. Because when I drove that Friday night, I went through Douglas County and Cobb County and back home. It was just the grace of God that I made it through that. The grace of God on my life. But as I was sitting there, it was like getting hit across the head with a tree. And God said, get up and walk. It's my turn now. John 5, 1 through 9. Keep in mind, too, at this time I was 38 years old. After this, there was a feast of the Jews, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. Now there in Jerusalem, by the sheep gate, a pool in Arabic called Bethesda, which has 5 roofed colonnades. In these lay a multitude of invalids, blind, lame, and paralyzed. To me, the key word is blind, because I was blind at what God had done in my life. One man there who had been invalid for 38 years. When Jesus saw him laying there, he knew that he had already been there for a long time. And he said to him, do you want to be healed? The sick man answered, sir, I have no one to put me in the pool when the water is stirred up, and while I'm going, another steps down before me. Jesus said to him, get up, take your bed, and walk. And at once the man was healed, and he took up his bed and walked. That's my life verse. To me, there's huge significance there. The being blind part, even though that man was paralyzed, but the blind was there. And he'd been there for 38 years. You know. And at this time, I'd ran from God for 27 years. From the time I was 11 until I was 38. There is no coincidence. God orchestrated every bit of that. He put me where he wanted me, when he wanted me there. But as I was sitting on the table, and like I said, it was like he hit me with a tree and told me to get up and walk. What beer I had sitting next to me on that table, I got up, picked the bag up, walked over to the trash can and dropped it. I called my wife. I said, meet me at the hospital. And she's like, why? What's wrong? Where's the wreck happened? I said, no, there's nothing. I said, just meet me at the hospital, please. I said, I'm going to need you to get my truck. I said, I'm going to get help. So I went to Douglas General, and I went in there and told them, I said, it's not an emergency. I said, I just need to see the doctor. This was all about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, about 10:30, 11 o'clock that night, they're going to release me. Because he says he don't see no reason other than me being an alcoholic to admit me to a rehab. So I just looked at him and said, fine, I'll just go home and kill myself. Which I knew that ain't what I was going to do. It's not what I was going to do. But I knew for my insurance to pay for me to go to rehab, I knew I had to be admitted by a doctor. Just for the way the insurance was. And when I say that, it was that quick. I was getting transferred to rehab. And I went to rehab because I knew I needed to dry out. I knew if I stayed at home or whatever, there was too much of a chance of me going and getting another beer. Even though God was taking control at this point. There's no doubt in my mind that that's not what I did, it's what he did. So I'm at rehab, and I called Colleen Houston. I said, I'm getting out of here Thursday. I said, and come Sunday, I'm going to be in church with or without you. So we've been here at Cal Mill ever since. So but that Sunday we were sitting here, and ever since then, it's been a whole different life. God has took over. I think the second or third week we were here, there was no one handing out bulletins. So it was God pushing me, here, go do this. So now I'm going on 5 years of welcoming people back there at that back door. If I'm not back there, I feel lost. If I'm not in my Bible every day now, I feel lost. Some days I don't get to study it the way I want to, or the way God wants me to, but I do read it every day. If somebody had told me 6 years ago that I'd be reading the Bible every day, I'd have told you just bumped your head and fell off the turnip truck 10 minutes ago. I'm going through my second year of discipleship. I'll graduate my second year of discipleship training next weekend. I feel that God's leading me to teach and serve. Now that I look back at all the times God had his hand on my life, I was too blind and too dumb to see it. And all the glory goes to God. It's nothing I've done, it's everything he's done. Every bit of it. Thank God, all glory to God that I'm where I'm at right now. And through all the chaos, I never killed anybody or killed myself drinking and driving and doing drugs. In my opinion, the only help there is God. You fully surrender to God and turn it over to him and let him do it. Because us in the flesh can't do it alone. It is truly amazing to me to sit back and be a member of Calvary Mill Church and see how God is using all of these crazy, troublemaking, rambunctious guys from 20, 25 years ago now to doing what we're doing here. It's amazing. Thank you, Lord.